Hey everyone, we're here with Mike, CEO of HummingBot. He'll be doing a talk around how to build a trading bot for your mining operation. And I'll let him take it from here. Once he starts talking, can you confirm in the chat you can hear him?
Thanks, Shinju. This is Mike, co-founder and CEO of HummingBot. Today I'm going to give you a brief introduction into what HummingBot is, and then I'll show you how to use HummingBot to run a couple of trading bots. Hopefully you can hear me. Yes, just wanted to thank Blockstack for putting the conference together, as well as Dystopia for having us present at the conference. So I'm going to share my presentation now and just go through what HummingBot is before proceeding to the demo part, which I think is going to be more fun and educational for you guys. Okay, so HummingBot is we're an open source framework for creating trading bots in the cryptocurrency world. And basically, so it's a open source version of the same type of high frequency trading strategies, or HFT, that quant hedge funds, or basically these very, very sophisticated hedge funds are doing. And we're basically taking that same kind of software and making it available to everyone. So we launched about a year ago in April 2019. It's licensed under Apache code. Because we used to run our own quant fund, we feel like software is pretty professional grade. But we've also kind of designed the interface in a way that you don't need to know how to code. Instead, it asks you a series of questions, as you'll see, and that use a series of questions to define your trading bot, which then goes in the market and tries to make money for you. We also try to take a very modular approach with HummingBot. And what I mean by that is it's like a series of Legos. And so that means everyone can build a Lego, but everyone can use these Legos in different ways. So for instance, we launched with 3 separate strategies called Arbitrage, Market Making, and another one called Mirroring, or Custom or Cross-Exchange Market Making. But people can also add their own strategies. And then we also kind of have connectors to different exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, and other protocols like Ethereum. But what's cool is that people can build their own exchange connectors, and in fact, a lot of people have. So, since we launched about a year ago, we've seen lots of people contribute in HummingBot. So today it's more of a community project where it's not just us building and writing code, but instead there's been over 50 different contributors. A lot of exchanges have built their own connectors. A lot of funds are building their own strategies, and we're really kind of like transitioning from being a just us kind of managing the project to one where we're kind of like leading a community of developers who are all building an open standard for crypto algo trading. And the reason we can do that is because our business model is to just give the software away for free, and we monetize currently from our customers who are protocols and exchanges who benefit from the liquidity provided by the users. So we help a number of the top protocols and coins and crypto source liquidity on any exchange or even on their native blockchains. And I'll show you some of that in the demo as well. So for example, we run a program called Miner. This is like our kind of like version of liquidity mining, where you can get rewarded for providing liquidity to certain trading pairs on Binance. For instance, Coty, Mainframe, we have RLC right now as well. And basically, these are all different projects. And if you own some of these tokens, you can go into our website, run a HummingBot for one of these pairs, and you'll earn extra rewards on top of the normal trading profits or losses that you make. That's just an intro. I really want to make this more of a show and tell. So instead of me talking about this, I'll just show you guys. So hopefully I'll have time to show you 2 bots. One, which is a market making bot, where you're making a market and by placing buy and sell orders. So market making bots, you want to try to place buy orders lower than your sell orders and try to kind of maintain that over time and make money on the spread. And the second type of bot I'll show you is an arbitrage bot, where you basically watch 2 different exchanges and you try to buy low and sell high on them. So great. Let me just make sure that everyone can still see me. 1 second. Sorry, let me just flip back to Crowdcast real fast. Sorry, okay. So can everyone still see me? Hello? Okay, so yeah, I think so. Let's go ahead and do the demo now. I'll share my screen again, and this time we're gonna basically just do the demo. So. Okay, so this is HummingBot. I'm running a version that's running on AWS right now, but we have a number of different install options. So if you're starting out, you can just go to our website, download the Mac or the Windows binary, and just get kind of test it out. We find that if you're getting a little more serious about it, then people either run the Docker version, which is pretty simple and straightforward to run. We have a number of scripts on our website, or they'll install from source, like I've done. And typically, only developers install from source. If you're just a normal user, I think either the Docker version or the normal installer version would be what I recommend. So the way this is a kind of a command line application, and what I mean by that is it runs the command line. So you do kind of like have to type, but you don't need to know how to code. Instead, it's kind of like an old school kind of like text adventure game. So we have a help command that shows you the list of commands. And so first, let me use the connect command to show you which exchanges are available that we can connect to. We at HummingBot, we try to treat both exchanges and protocols kind of like as basically as the same. So you can connect to Binance by adding your API keys to Binance. So by connect Binance, I already have keys there, so I'm not going to replace them. But you can also connect to Ethereum, and you do that by entering your wallet private key or your and that will actually basically log you into Ethereum. So that way you can trade on both kind of like Binance, but also Ethereum-based decentralized exchanges or decentralized exchanges and other protocols, and actually be able to do arbitrage between them, or do what we call cross-exchange market making between them. And so, I think one way that many people use HummingBot is to kind of bridge the worlds of DeFi and order book centralized exchanges and profit from closing the arbitrage opportunities that occur from them. And that's one thing I'll show you later on. But for now, let's try a very simple market making bot. I have Binance here, so let's create a very simple Bitcoin to Tether market making bot on Binance. So to do that, we use the create command, and then so we have a number of strategies, and then so the one I'll pick is kind of like our flagship strategy, which is called pure market making. I'll select Binance from the list of exchanges, and then here I need to list a token pair. So we do have a autocomplete. So you can. I'm actually going to pick Bitcoin Tether from this list here, and now I'm going to set the spreads. So the spread is basically the distance from the mid price on the order book to where you're going to put your order in percentage terms. So so if I put 1 here, it's going to place my buy order, the bid order, 1% below where the current price is. 1% is a very wide spread for the Bitcoin market. So I'm going to place a very tight spread because I want to kind of try to generate some trades and show you guys, how this works. Normally, I would not set spreads as tight because I'm basically paying pretty high fees with this trade. But just to show you, I'll set very tight spreads for this strategy, even though I would not recommend setting spreads as tight if you're actually running it. So I'll do the same thing for the ask order. This will set basically a sell order 0.05% above where the current market price is. And finally, I'll cancel my orders. Let's cancel my orders pretty often. Let's cancel them every maybe 15 seconds. And then the BTC per order, I'm going to basically try to use as little as possible. I think I can do like 0.001 maybe. And then finally, we recommend if you're running a market making bot, you should have some type of way to manage inventory risk, which is a primary risk that market makers face. There's a number of ways you can do this in HummingBot, and the simplest way is a feature we have called ping pong that simply alternates between placing buy and sell orders, so that you're not always buying when the market's going up, but instead, hopefully, you're alternating between buys and sells. So I'm not going to use this feature for now, but we would recommend that all new users use that. So this is where I can save this configuration, so that if I load this HummingBot again later on, I can then import the file and start where I left off. And in addition, you can use the config command to see the list of configurations. So we've only set a few basic parameters in the Q&A, the walkthrough. But as you can see, there's a number of different advanced options that you can set. And we find that a lot of our more experienced users tend to really play with a lot of these advanced parameters to try to give themselves an edge versus other folks in the market. So then the start command then basically starts the bot. So now what the bot's doing is it's connecting to the WebSocket API on Binance. It's getting the state of the order book, then connecting to the API, then placing a buy order and a sell order. So if I run status, I can see I have two orders now. Basically at this price and this price, and we can see that now they just also got refreshed, because every 15 seconds we're going to change these orders. So now if I do status again, we can see that the orders have been refreshed. So and this is really just market making. Market making is essentially the act of placing buy and sell orders on the order book, and instead of making money by trading, you're letting other people trade with you. And what you're hoping for is that you're buying lower, you're buying at lower prices than you're selling, so that you're making money from that difference net of the fees that you're paying. So here, I would say it's unlikely we're going to make any money at all, because I've actually set my spreads even tighter than the fees I'm paying on Binance. Because on Binance, I'm paying, as an individual user, I pay 0.1%, for every transaction from the fees. But as you can see, the total spread currently only adds up to 0.1%. So it's almost impossible for me to make money using this strategy, which is why I would highly recommend for individual users, you set wider spreads and not try to compete with the tightest market makers out there. However, we are so kind of doing this. And then right now, the reason we're not filling any trades is because the market is very tight. So you can use the order book command to see kind of like the tightest orders. As you can see, right now, the market for Bitcoin, Tether, and Binance is basically a penny wide in terms of spread. Which is basically zero spread. So because of this, our orders are wider or farther back. And so we're not actually filling any trades here. This is why, one reason why we have HummingBot is because there are very large markets like this one that we're currently running in, but then there are also very smaller markets. So a lot of the pairs who need liquidity, you can't get it. And because all markets need liquidity, we find that for hedge funds and kind of like quant funds, those guys are playing in this market. But there's a ton of smaller markets that need liquidity as well. And for those smaller markets, that's where individuals can easily play. So that's basically market making bot. Let's see, we're still running our bot. We have yet to fill any trades here because the market is so tight. But I think if we were to run this bot for another probably couple hours, I'm sure we would start seeing some trades being filled here. So that's market making. So let me just see. By the way, if you have any questions, you guys can put them in the chat. And then in the meantime, I'm actually going to show you guys how another arbitrage bot works, because I think arbitrage may actually be more interesting in this context, because we're starting to do a lot more arbitrage between order book exchanges and decentralized protocols. And so let's stop this bot, and I'll show you how our Cello arbitrage strategy works. where you can arbitrage between a automatic market maker decentralized exchange on the Celo blockchain and another normal exchange like Bittrex. So let's create a new strategy. And this time, instead of picking pure market making, we're going to pick Celo Arb. So the way Celo Arb works is that it's a modification on top of our normal arbitrage strategy. The normal one asks you to pick two exchanges, a primary exchange and a secondary exchange. And then you pick two trading pairs on those exchanges. Let's say you're watching Bitcoin Tether on Binance, and then maybe Bitcoin Tether on Huobi. And then essentially, it's a very simple strategy. You say, I want to make at least 1% profit or more, and then the bot just watches for a chance to basically buy high and sell low and try to make a 1% profit. Now, these opportunities don't come along very often, so most of the time you do nothing. But the idea here is that even if you're trading once a day or once a week, every time you trade, you should, in theory, be making an arbitrage profit every time. And so the bot basically helps you watch for those opportunities and jumps on them without you spending hours and hours in front of a computer. So the idea is similar here for Celo. Celo has an exchange on the blockchain that controls how their token, how their stable coins get stable. So because of that, they rely upon arbitrage bots to inject stability into that AMM exchange. And so they commissioned us to build a strategy called Celo Arb that allows kind of like the primary market, which is always Celo, to arbitrage versus other markets. So basically here, the primary market is already Celo. So for the secondary market, I'm going to pick Bittrex because that's where I have some assets. And so on the Celo chain, I'm always trading between Celo and the Celo US dollar. And on Bittrex, I'm going to try to trade between Celo and to USD, because I think I have some USD. And so every Celo I'll do to like 10 Celo per trade, and let's do 0.1% from a profitability, and then 0.01% for that, and then I'll just call it Celo Arb3. So starting Celo Arb3, and what we're doing here is we're connecting to both the Celo blockchain on one side, and then we're connecting to Bittrex API on the other side. So currently, let's run a status and see where we are. So currently, it seems like there is no arbitrage opportunity. So if we were to buy on the Celo chain and sell on the Bittrex chain, we would lose 1%, and same thing on the other side. So this is a normal state, and I would say we can sit here for the next 10 minutes, but it's probably not going to change. But when I run the strategy, every so often, every day or every couple of days, I do see trades here, and every trade is profitable. So the reason this happens is because when Celo miners are selling, they're typically selling on the Celo chain, and every time that price moves versus the price on the Bittrex exchange, there's essentially the only way that those exchanges kind of go in sync is through arbitrage. So essentially, just by people using these two exchanges, there are naturally arbitrage opportunities that are presented, and basically Celo relies upon those of us running these bots in order for the stable coin to actually work. So this is a great example of how kind of like AMMs like Celo, like Uniswap, Curve, and Balancer, rely upon arbitrage bots. And so what we find is that the more kind of activity goes in those bots, the more opportunities there are for us and other kind of bot runners to go in and help them get stability. So overall, I think trading bots are a really interesting, kind of fascinating area because it's kind of like because the whole crypto world is so fragmented right now. There's so many exchanges, there's so many protocols, and basically there needs to be something that connects all of them together. So trading bots are kind of like the connective tissue between all of the protocols and exchanges out there, and so that's what HummingBot is. We're a community of people that are running these bots and working with the protocols and exchanges out there to educate the world on why bots are necessary and why they basically kind of act as like a kind of like stabilizers and make the market efficient by being out there. So hopefully that was educational for you guys. And for us as an open source project, our mission is to open source algo trading, because we feel like that power that hedge funds had should be given to everyone. So hopefully, we encourage anyone to just go on our website, play around with HummingBot, experiment with it, and build on top of it. Because we feel like that type of software should be free and available to everyone. Thanks. I think I have a few more minutes, but I wanted to just take questions from the audience in case there are any, or stop here. Let's see the questions. Oh, actually, yeah, I do see one question. Does it have any type of language to specify the strategy like Pine and TradingView? Yes, that's a great question. So because it's an open source project, it's all in Python, and Python. So you can actually write your own strategies. In addition, we also just introduced something called scripts, which are basically mini Python functions that can basically modify this strategy. So now you can kind of like basically write light scripts that basically customize how your bots behave. So that's kind of how we envision people kind of like really kind of customizing the bots going forward. I see another question: when we're going to add a GUI. So most likely we are not going to add a GUI ourselves, but because we're kind of defining architecture, we do have partners who are interested in building GUI. In fact, there's a company called CloudBottle that has launched HummingBot hosted services. That so instead of downloading yourself and trying to like create a cloud server instance, now you can pay $13 per month and get basically a HummingBot instance in the cloud running for you. I think if that kind of concept takes off, that team plans on building a GUI on top of that afterwards. And we also have kind of other partners in our ecosystem that are working on similar things. I'll drop the CloudBottle link in the chat so that anyone, if you guys want to check it out, you guys can go to it. But overall, for us, we're kind of like the definers of the protocol, and we kind of like coordinate the protocol or the standard of the code base. And we tend to work with partners that build other things that help users use it better, like hosted service or open source GUIs and those kind of things. The minimum hardware requirements, honestly, is very low. In fact, you can run multiple HummingBot instances on a Raspberry Pi, Raspberry Pi 4, and we're coming out with a Docker image for Raspberry Pi specifically. But basically, any type of Linux or Mac or Windows computer can run it. I think for Windows, we only support Windows 10. It's mainly because of a compatibility issue, but it doesn't really use any. You basically have like very low hardware requirements because you don't really need that much like speed. Okay, how do we make HummingBot sustainable if it's free and open source? That's a great question. And to be honest, we spent a good year trying to figure this out, but now we have a pretty solid business model. And our business model is we get paid by the projects and exchanges that benefit from your activity when you use HummingBot. Because when you use HummingBot, people who use HummingBot trade about 100 times more often than people who don't. So exchanges we go into fair fee rebate programs with exchanges. Also, protocols like Celo, they do pay us to build these strategies that help arbitrageurs close that gap. So I think, in our opinion, we actually think this model is sustainable, and we can continue to just give the software away for free, because the more users we have, the more we can monetize from exchanges and protocols that benefit from your activity. And I think one more question is, have we seen a delay in terms of achieving the transactions when using the bot? So I would say I would say speed, I think, will be an issue down the road, and I think we being from kind of former quant fund managers, I think we're always very cognizant of performance. Currently, because most crypto exchanges are running in the cloud, there isn't that much kind of an edge that anyone can get in terms of like co-location or any type of like technology or software, because inherently the actual bottleneck is in like taking this API request and sending it to some cloud server somewhere where that transaction is being filled. Now we are starting to see co-location in somewhat in certain exchanges, or certain exchanges kind of moving more to like to important data centers, but I think for individuals, it's really hard to kind of like get an edge over other individuals by using those techniques. So overall, I don't think speed is really how people are winning right now in crypto. If it is in the future, we will try to accommodate that in the code base. Are there any fee sharing reduction for HummingBot users or any planned? Yes, for certain exchanges. Yeah, so we actually just entered in a partnership with Crypto.com, and for their exchange, HummingBot users are going to have, I think, it's something like $50 for every user that signs up, in addition to some other options that you'll get for being HummingBot users. So we are starting to kind of, enter into kind of like group discounts with exchanges. This is just starting, but I think as the HummingBot community gets bigger, and as kind of like we get more and more users, then we have more leverage and we can negotiate even better deals for our users with exchanges. Some high-end quants use FPGA. Any futures plans for that? So I think what you're talking about here is on the, so the first thing is, I would say there's two types of quant. There's like quant where you try to be faster than everyone else, and there's quant where you try to be smarter. So speed, I would say speed, I think in crypto is actually really hard to compete on. But I think it is actually pretty, we're going to help people compete by being smarter. And what I mean by that is, so even though HummingBot is open source, there's actually a closed source section of our code base that is basically, it's a backtesting engine, which is probably a lot faster than anything that's out there because it's all in Python. And we also have about 2 years of like highly granular order book data from lots of exchanges. And then combined together, that's like a kind of end-to-end like simulation framework that can help everyone kind of backtest strategies. So I think that's where I do think we can help people basically create better strategies by being able to backtest, on lots of data very quickly and just see how these strategies actually behave over time. But I think in terms of like, I would say the one thing about quant is, there's no magic bullet. It's not like you're buying some magic solution and just suddenly makes you money. It's competitive, and to make money consistently over time, you have to be constantly evolving and keeping up with the rest of the market. So it's not that interesting. Anyway, so I think my time is probably almost up. But yes, we have a Discord. Discord is actually our most active community. So the URL, I'll put it here, is discord.hummingbot.io. It's actually kind of like, I think it's actually kind of like where a lot of the algo traders in crypto hang out. So we have a lot of people in the crypto community. Overall, I think we're all passionate about algo trading, market making, and crypto in general. So if you guys join our community, feel free to just say hi to me and ask me questions, and I'm always there. Great. Thanks, everyone. Oh, sorry. There was one question. So why Python and not something faster? Yes, great question. So I would say we do use Python for our strategies because Python, we found on a backtesting perspective, is very important. Now, when you trade on the exchange itself, right now, as I mentioned before, the bottleneck is really in the latency connecting to a cloud server, and because most exchanges are not located in some kind of they're not really doing co-location yet. At least Binance and some of the retail focused exchanges are not. So until kind of like, would say because we aimed at retail users, we don't like it's not really aimed at co-location. Yeah. Yep. Shinju, so I think I'm pretty much done. Do you want me to kind of like keep on going, or do you want me to?
I think we're good. We can transition to the next talk now.
Okay, great. Well, thanks everyone. Yeah, I don't want to, I just want to thank Shinju again for the opportunity. Yep, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Mike. This was great.